Hi, it's Delusion Dispeller, back to bring you the last part of this Safe People book by Dr. Henry Cloud, Dr. John Townsend, copyright 1995. Alright, so we are talking about resistances and how to approach them. We learned about identifying them, and now we're going to talk about bringing them into a relationship. I might have already read this, so please bear with me if I did. Forgive the redundance. My friend Tom is a good model here. He didn't throw resistances into the Bible study as an aside. He made them a focal point of the relationship. It takes humility to ask people to help you work through perfectionism, guilt, or merger wishes. But safe people are the last to throw stones. They've got too much experience with their own issues. You'll find warmth and patience with your resistances. What's more, you'll find that your resistances will begin to melt as you connect. Meet the needs underlying the resistances. Remember that these oppositions are designed to protect you from hurt. They're obsolete guardians of your soul, like Adam and Eve's fig leaves. And when the true spiritual needs underlying them have been met, they lose their power. The fight is largely over. Actively seek the connections, the truth, the forgiveness, and the equality with others. Do the opposite of what the resistances tell you. If you're in need, your internal opposition may tell you to do some destructive things like go to only to God with this. Handle it yourself. Ignore your need. You're feeling sorry for yourself. Realize it's your moral failure. Suck it up. Don't be weak. Find someone to criticize you. Find someone to caretake. Rebel. Rebel against the unbiblical authority of the resistances. They'll tell you to find critical, irresponsible, or abandoning people, or to not seek at all. Instead, seek out loving, responsible, and faithful people. Use the two words the Jews adopted after the Holocaust of World War II. Never again, I'll never again, at least as much as is in my power, give in to the abuse to which my resistances have led me. Take a stand by going against these sorts of impulses. Not really sure why he used the Holocaust there, but I didn't write the book. I'm just reading it. Okay, invite the truth about yourself. I, John, once witnessed a 5-year-old girl with a lisp tell a 160-pound teenaged boy, Rodney, you really hurt me when you said I was stupid. And Rodney had to sit there and accept Janie's words. It was a powerful scene, watching someone so small and helpless confronting someone so large and strong. The setting was a child and adolescent day treatment center I worked in during my clinical internship. At the center, kids of all ages were treated from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, Monday through Friday, for depression, conduct disorders, and anxiety problems. One of the most important times occurred at the last hour of each day, just before the parents picked up their kids. It was called crosstalk. And during this hour, each child, no matter how old or how severe her condition, was free, along with staff members, to give observations to her peers about their behavior or attitude that day. Wow, it sounds like Fight Nice. Cool. Sometimes a kid would praise another for his good work. I liked it that you played with me today and didn't stay in a corner. Sometimes the statements were quite specific. You yelled and scared me 3 times today. I didn't like it. And at times they were quite moving. You talked nice to me when I was crying today. My heart wanted to sit on your lap. Crosstalk was the great equalizer. No one could despise your youth. 1 Timothy 4:12. And during the months I worked there, I noticed it worked. Kids paid attention to kids' feedback, often more than they listened to the staff. They could trust the truthfulness of one of their own, and they used the feedback to make changes in themselves. One of the most valuable things you can do with your safe people ranking up there without or with asking for help, needing and melting resistance, is simply to invite the truth about yourself. We have so many blind spots in areas where we aren't aware of our self-destructiveness. The psalmist's invitation to God echoes the same issue. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me, and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Psalm 139, 23 through 24. God often uses people to answer that prayer. Okay, another addendum here from Dee Dee. Some people have been talking to people about me because they know they can't come to me. Good, keep doing that. I don't like people confronting me. I don't handle confrontation well. I will bite back, and I am not in a place of being able to objectively hear what people are saying. So it's good for me to have a mediator and a go-between, If you have an issue with me, please do talk to my husband. He's actually kind of my shield because he can come to me in a way that other people can't. If I didn't have him, well, I don't know. I would probably just have you email me privately so I would have time to process. But coming at me one on one in an angry way usually just makes me either um, shut down or lash back. And I'm more likely to lash back with sarcasm than anything else. I'll just let you know that today. Because when I open up my Fight Nice room, I'm sure some people will want to confront me and have me up on the panel. So you might want to be careful how you approach me. I'm not threatening you, I'm just telling you that I know me. And if you approach me in a way that's just like insulting and nasty, just to be nasty, I'm going to see that and sense it, and I'm going to probably either be very quiet and not know how to respond or not want to respond, or I am going to lash back in probably a hurtful way that I regret later and have to repent of. So be careful, not just me, but anybody that you decide to fight with on the Fight Nice channel, that you're doing unto them what you want done to yourself, and maybe even go a little bit easier on them than you would on yourself, because maybe you're the type of person that's got a tough skin and you can take it. Maybe they're not as tough as you are. I'm admitting I'm not. I do not handle confrontation well. I've said that over and over again. It is no secret. So be careful how you come at me, because I don't know how to handle that very well. All right. We're a lot like children here. Many of us are untrained, inexperienced, and unskilled in knowing how we affect people, except perhaps in untruthful ways. Example, you ruined my life when you didn't visit me last Christmas, is an impossible crime that would not ruin a person's life, though the person saying it may not think so. So, like kids, we need lots of help learning the issues of life about love, limits, goodness, and badness. There are lots of ways to implement this step. You can ask for feedback in 100 different ways. I think, however, that the important realities can be summarized in 2 questions. If you'll regularly ask these 2 questions to your safe people, then use the data, your life will flourish. Here they are. Number 1, what do I do that pushes you away from me? And number 2, what do I do that draws you toward me? I can't think of many more difficult words to say to a person, nor more helpful. When you ask these questions, you're saying several important things to your safe people. You're telling them, I value how you feel about me. I want you to be a very important part of my life. I respect what you observe in me. I don't want to hurt you or our relationship. I trust you with my most vulnerable parts. What might you receive? Many of us are terrified at the prospect of hearing feedback from others. You may have heard many hurtful or untrue things about yourself from a critical person. Or you may feel that you're a sham and that others are waiting to pounce on you and expose you to the world. Kind of like what happens on YouTube. Safe people just aren't wired like that. Your safe person wants you to know the truth for 2 reasons. First, the truth increases love. People who are free to be honest are free to love each other. This is because the fear of loss of attachment is gone, and there is no fear in love. 1 John 4:18. And second, the truth is always your friend. Understanding how we turn people off can go a long way in increasing the quality of our relationships and work lives. This is part of what the truth setting us free is all about. John 8:32. You'll hear insights, perceptions, emotions, and observations you may have never expected. When people feel truly free to tell the truth, they tend to be quite honest, but also quite loving. Remember, your safe person has heard you take the initiative to ask for the truth. There exists no concrete wall of denial to break through. Safe people don't need to use a grenade when a whisper or 2 will suffice. You may find out the following truths: how people feel when you withdraw from them, how much they miss you when you detach, how they would like for you to be more open about your losses, how it hurts them when you don't respect their boundaries, how your imperfections draw them closer, how much your own journey is helping them connect with God and others. These are profound and important realities. They are really the sum and substance of life itself, because life's substance is a relationship. Value and cherish these truths from your safe people. Generally speaking, the more rigorous you are with your own self-examination, the better it goes for you. And the converse is true. The more you minimize your failings, the more your safe people have to work in sharing the truth with you. Get real, get honest, and get working on yourself. Which would you rather hear from those who know you best? Don't be so hard on yourself, or wake up, turkey, smell the coffee, and get out of denial. Enter into forgiveness. Recently, I developed one of those nagging Jiminy Cricket type reminders that involved an old friend of mine named Ken, whom I knew long before I was married. I kept remembering an event between us that had occurred a long time ago. I'd hurt him deeply by not being there for him at a bad time in his life, a time when I'd assured him I would be there. I'd neglected our friendship. There was no excuse for my actions. I had offered none, though I was truly sorry and told him that. We talked briefly about it, and that was about it. He hadn't said much about it at the time, but I knew I'd wounded him. Ken and I had stayed friends over the years after that occasion. He never brought up the subject again. We both got married, had kids, and got busy with our lives. We tried to stay in contact and keep up with each other. But that Jiminy Cricket voice in my head wouldn't go away, so I figured perhaps I needed to pay attention to it. I have to use discernment with remorseful feelings. Sometimes it's my conscience, sometimes it's God, and sometimes it's a bad pizza I had last night, but I felt I should act on this one. I called Ken late one night and told him, "For some reason I've been feeling pretty remorseful for hurting you badly several years ago, and I didn't know if perhaps I need to ask your forgiveness for that. Where are you on that issue?" Ken thought a few seconds and said, "Go back to bed, I forgave you then. I knew you were sorry you hurt me, and frankly I'm much more interested in the rest of our relationship than I am that event. I'm healed from it, and I would have told you if I wasn't." I went back to bed, and before I drifted off I told myself, "No more anchovies on my pizza." I really don't know what caused the feelings. It could have been my own lack of forgiveness being projected onto Ken. But whatever the reason, here's the point of that story. Safe people lead us into lives of forgiveness. One of the greatest benefits you'll find in your safe settings is a deepening of understanding of failure and what to do with it. And the answer to that is always forgiveness. Safe people are very forgiving people, as we discovered in Chapter 7. They've given up on the idealistic demand that they or anyone else will be perfect in this life. They know that they continually need divine and human debt cancellations, and they expect failure and disappointment from those they love. It's normal in their universe, something to be accustomed to. Okay, you already know my thoughts on this, so I don't really need to belabor the point. I'm a faith believer, so I believe that you do not continually, perpetually sin if you are truly yielded to God. So this whole, oh, well, I just need to constantly see people as imperfect, they're just going to keep failing because they're imperfect in this life, blah, blah, blah. That's not a faith way of looking at it. It's a worldly way of looking at it, but the dudes that wrote this book are kind of worldly, I'm kind of thinking. Not saying they're not Christians, not saying they don't love God. I'm not judging them in that. I'm just saying I see it a different way, and that's my prerogative. Okay. They are familiar with the losses and sins of the world in the same way Jesus handles loss of man of sorrows and familiar with suffering. They don't fight it or become indignant or bitter. They know that it's just the way a post-fall, pre-eternity world is. They know that loving is much more important than holding on to the past, as long as the past has been worked through and resolved. They also know how much you need to be familiar with forgiveness. Learn to be two-sided in forgiveness. Use your time with your safe people to learn the two skills of forgiveness. Man, I swear this chapter is like the longest chapter in history. Alright, so here we go. Here's the two parts of forgiveness. Learn to receive. I'm going to skip over this. Learn to receive and learn to give, okay? So learn to apologize, feel empathy, admit your faults without rationalizing. Learn to ask, will you forgive me for hurting you? Learn to take in forgiveness without trying to make up for your fault or pay for your trespass. Learn to accept love that knows we're frail and loves us still. Okay. Then learn to give forgiveness. Forgiven people become forgiving people. So the good news about it is that it's not really about the person who hurt you. It does free the perpetrator, even though he may be unrepentant, in denial or dead. But at a deeper level, the person whom forgiveness frees is yourself. I'm sure you've heard that before. When you forgive, you're not really helping the other person. You're helping yourself. Okay. Here's some things to do with your safe people that will help you learn to forgive and give forgiveness and all that stuff. Confess your hurts that you've caused others. Confess the hurts they did to you. Feel your negative emotions. Embrace your emotions, your injury, hurt, sadness, anger, and shame. Learn the character elements from your safe people that you want to have in you. Process your wish for revenge and instant justice. Ooh, that's a big one for YouTubers right now. instant revenge, or justice. Ouch. Okay, learn to grieve those wishes and accept the realities. So, in other words, stop idealizing. Stop thinking that this person hurt me. They should have done this. They should have done that. They're human. They're going to do what they do. People are people, and you're not going to change them by wishing it was so. They have their hurts they bring to the situation. You have your hurts. Maybe you don't click. Deal with it, accept it, and move on. That's how it is. All right. Give something back. Like I said, I'm skipping all over. This is way too darn long of a chapter for me. When we receive goodness, gratitude takes over. Restrain the urge to anxiously try to figure out what in the world you can give. We're limited to giving what we've received and no more. So don't beat yourself up if you don't know how to give to somebody or even accept forgiveness or apologies or whatever. Maybe you haven't been taught that yet. Give yourself some time and space. People will have to deal with it if you're not there yet. It's going to take time. All right. Understand what you've gained. You've learned to trust other people. Learn your friends need signals that you need to let them know if you need something. That's why Matthew and I have no trouble asking for money. If we're hurting for money, we're going to say, hey, PayPal, GoFundMe, help us out. We need help. You guys have been great. You've seen what we've done. You've blessed us like beyond blessing here. We have a little house now. We have a nice vehicle we can drive around in. You guys have been terrific. You have heard our cries for help. And now we can pay it forward when we are in a better financial situation. We can bless somebody else because you blessed us. That's what it's about. Okay? All right. Ask to help. You can say, hey, is there anything I can do? Be there if you can possibly be there. Tell the truth. Don't be parental, but tell them what will help them stay away from harm. Go into the world. Get out of your safety zone. Reach out to people. Help the non-Christians, the poor, the minorities, single-parent families. People you can volunteer to help, basically. To become a safe person, you need to practice these 6 steps over and over again. Ask for help, learn to need, work through resistances, invite the truth about yourself, enter into forgiveness, give something back. It'll keep you plenty busy for a long, long time. And the last chapter of Save People, which I'm not getting into now, deals with a very important question. How do you know whether to repair or replace a relationship that is presently unsafe? Be looking for that last chapter. Should be a good one. I don't remember anything about this that I've read, so this is like reading it again for the first time. But that'll be the last and final chapter, chapter 13. And actually, then I'll be done with the Safe People book, so I'm very happy. And I'm glad it didn't turn out to be on Friday the 13th that I read it either. It worked out good. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. God bless you, and stay tuned for the very last chapter of the book, part 13. See ya on the other side. God bless.